Morning, all. Random one. It's been a few weeks since I did a vlog or a live stream or anything because work has been busy, which is obviously a good thing. But I want to obviously get back into the swing of doing some live streams, some vlogs and stuff like I said at the start of the year. So I'm back again today. Please excuse the sunlight. I've got to try and get some light on my face whilst also not blinding myself. Anyway, so today's question is what's in your everyday carry? Now I know that there's a lot of YouTube influencers that do that. I'm not trying to do this. I'm more curious what people think about what they carry around on a daily basis because of worries about the amount of time people are spending staring at screens, cybersecurity threats, that type of thing. I'm going to take this to extreme, and this is legitimately what you will find in my pocket on a near daily basis or on my wrist. Not because I'm particularly concerned about cybersecurity threats. Well, I am concerned about cybersecurity threats. That is not the driver behind why I pick up what I pick up. But because of the sort of mental health side of what mobile phones obviously can do, and not the phone themselves, but the software that's installed within them. And so, yeah, so I'm going to start, and this is going to be a right pain in the backside because the camera will try and attach my face. But this is legitimately what I carry on a daily basis. So I don't have a smartphone. I mean, I do have a smartphone, but only if I'm absolutely desperate, and it doesn't have a SIM card in it. So my daily driver from a phone perspective is this beautiful Nokia. I can't remember which one it was, but it cost £25 off of Amazon back when I had an Amazon account. I don't even have an Amazon account anymore. 25 quid. Can't go wrong. Works in America, works in the UK. I don't have to worry about travel. I can play Snake. That's about all you need. But yeah, so I can make obviously calls and texts off of that. That's about it. Works well. Means that I don't get distracted because it's not like, oh, what's going on in the world? I can't. Well, it does have a browser on it. If anyone ever gets one of these, have a look at the web browser. It's definitely an interesting experience if you like older phones. Of course, what do I pair with a phone from that it's a modern phone, but it looks like it's from the 90s. So I don't have a smartwatch. I do have a smartwatch, but I don't wear it. I have a Wenger chronograph that I've had for about 15 years now, actually. That stays on my wrist and tells me the time. If I need a stopwatch, it is also a stopwatch. It does nothing else. It doesn't track my biometrics. It doesn't tell me how unfit I am or how fit I am. Yeah, that's my sort of everyday watch. It goes on my wrist. Now, of course, you may be wondering how I take snaps of my lovely daughters because the phone does not have an array of cameras on the back. And that is a good question. And I do, this is partly why I do have a leftover Android device that has just Wi-Fi. But that's also useful from a sort of sat-nav perspective if I get desperate. But from a general day-to-day perspective, my camera of choice is a Canon A1. Yes, it takes film. It's from, I don't know, the 70s or 80s probably. I took this, I went away with my kids this weekend, one of my daughters this weekend. I took this camera. It's got some film in it. I will develop that later because I also taught myself to develop film. But the cool thing is, you've got 36 shots, or you can take multiple cans of film, but you've got 24, 36 shots. It means that you're more deliberate. It means that you're there in the moment and you put more thought into what you're doing rather than just like staring through the back of a phone, hitting the shutter button or hitting the record button on a video. It makes you think about these things more. And I quite like that. I mean, it's not for everyone, but I like to think that like by not staring at my phone and by having a camera that only has a limited amount of film capacity and costs money obviously to develop each image, that is a good thing. Then obviously the big thing that I was initially having problems with getting off a smartphone is internet banking and two-factor auth. So I went back to the early 2000s, and thanks to various banks, I do have a chip and pin machine, whatever they call these things, So if I need to log into a bank or verify a bank transaction, stick my card on top of this and use that. And I deliberately got a few from the bank so that I can chuck them into a bunch of bags and then I'm not caught short. So, my card goes in there. And then finally, multi-factor authentication, which is always a bugbear of many things, and also was part of the problem of getting off of like smartphones, because it was always like, oh, you need a two-factor auth thing, or oh, you need to be able to like sign in using this stupid Microsoft account thing. And so I actually have had a few of these over the years, and I've always enjoyed using them. And then someone's come along and mandated two-factor auth. But I have a YubiKey. I actually have a few YubiKeys, but here's one. For those of you who don't know what a YubiKey looks like, this one's the USB-C version, so I can chuck that into the bottom of my phone, if I had one. I could also chuck it into into my laptop. And that will allow me to authenticate with basically every service I use. I haven't found one that I can't use a passkey type setup. And so I use the YubiKey for different services. I have a USB version, but they all have like the little touch thing on. So like basically I have to chuck this into a USB drive, into a USB socket, and then stab the button. And that will log me in. And that basically is that. I don't have like a multitude of like clever electronics. I have over the years, but like I find myself in a better position mentally, and also like from a cyber perspective, like my blast radius for stuff like getting hacked or whatever is just far less. Like, for someone to actually like, crack into my accounts, they would need physical access to my YubiKeys without some like, very clever stuff. If you go to the Microsoft Azure portal and look at their specs, their recommendations for authentication, FIDO keys, which is what one of those is, comes top of the list in terms of like, the ability to get phished or the inability to get phished and that type of stuff. And so by actually reducing the amount of electronics that I have available to me, both I feel more comfortable in myself because I'm more in the moment with my kids and my partner and, all that type of stuff. I'm tracked less by the big companies at the end of the day. Even when I did have the Android phone, it was a Fairphone that I'd put EOS on so that, it was de-Googlified. Which makes it harder for them to figure out and sell my data. And yeah, if anyone wants to get back into analog photography, there's plenty of stuff on eBay. It's a lot of fun. It's an interesting experience going back and like not just like slamming the button. And of course, big thing with photos is like how often do you take like loads of photos and never look at them again? At least with this, it forces you to go through some sort of process and think about these things. That is me. That is my everyday carry. That is literally what I take. I don't even own a car anymore. We have a car. It's my partner's. She drives it. I drive an e-bike, ride an e-bike. Yeah, that's me. Let me know in the comments below what your everyday carry is from a mental health perspective, from a cyber perspective, or just because you're a hipster and this is the type of stuff you like. I would be very interested to find out what other people do to sort of like reduce their stresses and strains from a mental health perspective, from a cyber perspective, and all that type of fun stuff. So yeah, drop a comment in the box below. Let me know, and I will be back hopefully later this week. Next week I'm in Princeton, so maybe we'll do something on site, but I'll be back later this week with something else. Goodbye for now, and have a good rest of your day and into the rest of the week.